The purpose of this video is to give you a detailed demonstration of 4DX OS. Now, if you're not very familiar with the 4 disciplines themselves, just think of them as a way to execute on that critical objective that lives at the corner of really important and isn't going to happen on its own. I'll start by quickly reviewing the 4 disciplines with a very simple example, and then we'll use that example to show you exactly how 4DX OS works. In this example, let's say we have an organization that has many competing priorities, but is chosen to focus on increasing new membership. In Discipline 1, they've defined their wildly important goal, or WIG, to go from 750 new members a year to 1,000 by December 31st. This wildly important goal also gives them their lag measure. Discipline 2 is act on the lead measure, or in other words, what the team can influence and measure that will drive new membership. In this case, the team decides to conduct 30-minute pre-interviews with 80% of all first-time clients and also recommend next treatment plans to 100% of first-time clients. In Discipline 3, keep a compelling scoreboard, the team translates the lag and lead measures into a scoreboard that lets them see where they are today versus where they should be today and where they ultimately need to be in order to achieve the goal. They know at all times whether they are winning or losing on both the lead and the lag measures. Simply put, the purpose of Disciplines 1, 2, and 3 is to create a winnable game focused on that team's most important outcome. Discipline 4 is how you play that game. In Discipline 4, the team meets every week for about 20 minutes to make and report on commitments that will drive the lead measures on the scoreboard. For instance, modify pre-interview script, or make 3 specific recommendations for new treatments, or memorize questions from the script, or send thank you notes to 2 new clients. Sometimes these commitments are clever, sometimes they're pretty basic, but they are never urgent. There are always dozens of activities that feel more urgent than the activities necessary for executing on what is ultimately most important. This is why execution so often breaks down, and why this process is so valuable. While this example looks simple, remember, it's supposed to. That's a big part of what we're trying to do. We have learned that the 2 best friends of execution are simplicity and transparency. But also remember that while the disciplines seem simple, if you talk to the leaders of the more than 2,000 organizations that have applied these disciplines, they will tell you that 4DX says easy, but does hard. One of the more challenging aspects of 4DX is the implementation, actually getting it off the ground in the first place. Let's compare the challenge of implementing the 4 disciplines to, say, doing your taxes. There are basically 3 ways to do your taxes. You can get the tax documents and do it yourself. You could hire a certified public accountant, or you can use a software product like TurboTax that walks you through the process. Similarly, with the 4 disciplines, you could give your leaders the 4 disciplines book and let them try to apply it on their own, a bit like using tax documents. We also have a consulting process for helping organizations roll out 4 disciplines, which is kind of the tax equivalent of using a CPA. 4DX OS, however, is to the 4 disciplines exactly what TurboTax is to tax preparation. TurboTax is not a training course on how to do your taxes. Rather, you actually do your taxes. It's exactly the same way with 4DX OS. You're not just learning about the 4 disciplines, you're actually doing them. When you enter 4DX OS, you are shown a quick introductory video, and then you see the implementation grid. And you are never more than 1 click away from this grid. Across the top, you have the 4 disciplines, but the full body of knowledge around these disciplines has been divided into 4 separate sections in order to make it more usable. In the Learn section is everything you need to know about the principles of the 4 disciplines. The Apply section is everything you need to know about applying those principles to your world. And yes, that's the tricky part. In the Facilitate section, we take you and your team through the work sessions where you build out the disciplines. And in Create, you load that work into a technology platform so that you have a system for focusing your team's energy. Within each box on the grid are a series of 3 to 5 minute videos that walk you through each section. As the leader, you can choose which videos will work best for your team. To get a better feel for this, let's go back to the example we started with. Suppose that team has completed the work around the first discipline. We'll now follow them through the learn, apply, facilitate, and create section within Discipline 2. Here's a segment from one of the learn videos in Discipline 2 just to give you a feel for this section. Where do people typically fixate? On the leads or the lags? We always fixate on the lags, and we do this for 2 reasons. First, the lag feels more important. It's what we want. It's what we're accountable for. It's the revenue number. It's the production number. It's the quality number, right? It's the weight loss I want. I don't even like diet and exercise. Second, we tend to fixate on lag data because lag data is always easier to track, right? Think about weight loss for a second. If I want to see the lag measure, I just stand on the scales. Have you ever tried to track calories consumed or burned? It's challenging. Not only are lag measures easier to measure, half the time they'll chase you down. One of our clients refers to lag measures as oh crap measures, because when you see them, you're either saying oh crap or oh cool, but it doesn't feel like you have a lot of influence over them. As a matter of fact, if you feel like luck is playing a role in your career, you're probably looking at lag data. When the team has watched the learn videos, they go on to the apply section in Discipline 2. Now you'll notice there's quite a lot to learn about building lead measures. Brainstorming, testing, formatting, setting performance standards for what's going to define winning and losing. Here's a clip of Jim Hewling walking the team through testing their candidate lead measures.
The 5th test is to ask, is it a leader's game or a team game? The behavior of the team must be the driver of the lead measure. If only the leader can move the lead measure, the team will quickly lose interest in the game. For example, a quality initiative requires the leader to audit the process frequently. The outcome of those increased audits should be a continuously improving audit score. However, if the candidate lead measure is simply to increase the number of audits performed, it fails this test because only the leader can do audits. But if the candidate lead measure is to respond in a timely manner to the findings of the audit, it becomes a team game. In other words, the actions to drive the audit score would involve everyone on the team. The final test, before selecting a candidate lead measure, is to ask, is the lead measure worth measuring?
In a very short amount of time, the team has learned everything they need to know about lead measures and about how to build a lead measure. Now, they're ready for the actual working session in the facilitate part of Discipline 2. There are 4 working exercises, and we recommend that you watch a video and then do the exercise. Then watch the next video and then do that exercise. Here's a clip of the Discipline 2 facilitation video on setting performance standards.
Whether you decide to track individual performance or team performance and keep score daily or weekly, you will still need to decide your standard of performance for your lead measures. There are 2 options for this. Set your standard in an X to Y format, just as you did with your WIG, or set a single, consistent standard for performance.
The team has now developed their lead measures. They've come up with a bunch of ideas, tested those ideas, found the best ones, and formatted them in a way that drives the highest level of performance. They've only got one step left, to put those lead measures into the technology platform for keeping score. And you can see the WIG has already been entered when the team did Discipline 1. Now, for the lead measure, I just type in a short label, pre-interviews. And then I can just write out the lead measure, conduct pre-interviews with 80% of first-time clients. I hit process, and it just created a lead measure. I just put the words into the box, and it did the rest. Now all I have to do is put in my current results, let's say 68, and it shows me in red. 2 weeks later, say I'm at a 77. Now I'm in yellow. A week after that, 84. All right, now I'm green. To add members to my team, I just click here, and I can search for anyone that's registered and add them to my team. For each section, there are also mini tutorials that can help you through each step if you get stuck, and they play right on the screen so you can keep working while you watch them. Everything we have talked about so far has been in the build portion of 4DX OS. When that is done, you are now ready to run the 4 disciplines. And from the moment you move to run, you stay there until it's time to build a new wig or build a new lead measure or maybe refresh your thinking on how to build a great commitment. All of these things will be waiting for you until you need them. The run section is where the team meets every week. This is where, in that 20-minute meeting, the prior week's commitments are reviewed, the scoreboard is updated, and the next week's commitments are made. If you're a leader with responsibilities for multiple teams, the organizational version of 4DX OS will give you transparency into how all of your teams are doing against their goal, the lead measures, and even if they are making and keeping commitments. It is this view of execution that allows leaders to make their weekly commitments. And that, we have learned, is critical for keeping the 4 disciplines as a natural part of the culture. As I said before, we have found the 2 best friends of execution to be simplicity and transparency. Our hope is that 4DX will make this easier for you than ever before.